What was it?
We did the other one.
He said we did the other one.
For years, Duane Keffe D. Davis denied any involvement in Tupac Shakur's killing. But in 2008, according to a former LAPD detective, he admitted his role, not to police investigating Tupac's death, but to a task force that was looking into the murder of Notorious B.I.G.
Mr. Anderson grabbed the gun and shot across Mr. Smith into Mr. Knight's car that Mr. Tupac Shakur was in.
We're going to break down the biggest moments from another day in this trial as the prosecution seeks to use Davis's own words to convict him. And we are also going to sit down with someone who knew Tupac Shakur personally, Jamilah Barnes, Tupac's cousin. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, so we're back with more from Las Vegas, Nevada. This is where the Tupac Shakur murder trial is now in its fourth day, and we have even more key testimony to break down. And this is coming really at the end of the third day. We really don't want you to miss it. So the prosecution put two witnesses on the stand who may have completely changed the whole trajectory of this entire case. One of them, a former LAPD detective, testified that Duane Keffe D. Davis, the defendant, actually admitted to his role in Tupac's murder. And remember, prosecutors say he didn't actually pull the trigger, but that he orchestrated this drive-by shooting back in 1996. Now, here's the twist. It wasn't a confession to the police that were investigating Tupac's death specifically. No, this allegedly came during a proffer interview with the feds, who were actually investigating the killing of another big-name rapper, Tupac's friend turned rival, Notorious B.I.G. And the man who heard it, a former LAPD detective named Darren Dupree. Now, before we get to that, okay, we also heard from a former FBI agent who sat down with Davis back in 1998. And what Davis allegedly told him back then was a very different story. This kind of goes to what the defense has been saying, right? Their argument is, you can't believe Duane Keffe D. Davis. You can't believe our client. He had changing stories. You didn't corroborate what he said. He exaggerated what he said for, to sell a memoir, to sell a book, attention, things like that. Now, before we jump into this, I got to let you know, this is a very big case that we're following here on Sidebar. Like we cover a lot of big cases. We're kind of limited in everything we can show you, every piece of footage, every document. So, if you haven't heard yet, you can look at everything, the totality of the case, on the case file section of the Law&Crime Plus app, okay? So we are opening up the evidence vault so you can inspect the raw body cam footage, the 911 calls, the crime scene photos, the full trial tapes firsthand, plus you get ad-free streaming of all your favorite Law & Crime and court TV shows. So you can see the full picture for an entire month free. Head on over to lawandcrimeplus.com, enter promo code SIDEBAR, and you can start exploring today. Okay, let's jump back into this. So I want to start with that FBI agent. His name is Wade Lee. Back in the late 90s, he was assigned to a federal task force that was investigating gangs in South Central LA. One of the people that he was looking at was Duane Keffe D. Davis. So Davis ended up getting indicted on these drug charges, allegedly trafficking 2 kilograms of cocaine. Davis was facing some serious prison time. So in the summer of 1998, Davis apparently sat down for what's called a proffer interview. It's essentially a meeting between a suspect, potentially a defendant, and law enforcement. And this is a meeting where someone would offer information, seemingly in exchange for leniency, possibly avoiding prosecution altogether. The statements really wouldn't be used against them, at least in that prosecution. And during that conversation, Lee reportedly asked Davis about the Tupac Shakur killing. What was Davis's response? Denied any involvement. Said he wasn't there, that he didn't know who did it, and in fact, he seemingly pointed the finger at someone else. And we've talked a bit about this in other sidebar updates. According to this witness, he suggested that corrupt Compton police officers working for Suge Knight might have been responsible. Remember, Suge Knight has long been accused of being an affiliate or a member of the Mob Piru Bloods, this what appears to be rival gang, or was a rival gang to Davis's Southside Crips. So when Davis seemingly points the finger at other people, he's I guess the argument would be accusing his own enemies. But there is something that you need to understand about the timing here. So by this point, 1998, rumors had already been swirling about who could have been involved in Tupac's killing. This was going on for years. And people were talking about the Southside Compton Crips being involved. And that's what makes Davis's denial so interesting, okay? But before getting to that denial, Lee testified about what Davis allegedly told him regarding Death Row Records and drug trafficking.
As far as the gang activity and things of that nature. And he mentioned there was an individual by the name of Harry O that provided money to start the Death Row Records. Also, what's his name? I believe Patrick Johnson provided approximately $80,000. Actually told Davis to give $80,000 that money that Davis owed to Johnson from previous gang transactions to Johnson's girlfriend, so that money could be used to start Death Row Records.
And he also explains Marion Suge Knight's role and his connection to the Blood gang members.
Yes, he did. He said that Marion Knight had gained control of the North Compton drug trade, and that he was associated with a bunch of the Blood Street gang members, like the Mob Pyrus and such. And they were, the Knight was getting them in and out getting them out of jail, bailing them out, and they would cooperate with Knight.
And basically, when Knight goes to prison, he tells you Reggie Wright kind of takes over.
Yeah, Reggie Wright Jr. took over the organization after Suge Knight was arrested.
So it appears, according to Lee's testimony, Davis was telling the FBI and Death Row Records was built on drug money, seemingly corroborating that it was more than just a record label. And then came the questions about Tupac Shakur and his death. So here is what Lee says that Davis allegedly told him in that 1998 interview.
And then he talks a little bit of the gang war that occurs shortly after the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Yes. Basically, he said that there was a conflict between Davis and Mr. Marion Knight that resulted, as a result of the shootings, that the conflict, there was basically a war going on between Southside Compton Crips and Compton Blood Pirate gang members, stemming from the mall altercation with Marcus Nunn and Orlando Anderson and other members of Southside Compton Crips, along with the Compton Blood gang members.
And he claims the reason that people believe that Orlando Anderson is the killer is that he asserts the Compton police is telling people that.
That's correct. He made comments that he believed that Compton PD members were putting out rumors that Orlando Anderson and them were involved.
Do you confront him about Mr. Anderson, the attack, and him being upset about that particular attack?
Well, I mean, we asked him about that, about the whole escalation of incidents because of the gang activity, the incident at the mall, then at the MGM Grand, then obviously the shooting of Tupac and things of that nature. Mr. Davis said that Davis and Anderson were upset after the casino's attack on Anderson, but they weren't going to strike back with so many police officers around that they would have struck back once they returned to Compton.
So he indicates to you that he's angry enough to do it. It's just he planned on doing it back in Compton, which instead of in Las Vegas.
Yeah, if they were, apparently it was because of police presence in the area, something of that nature.
Yeah, according to Lee, Davis admitted he was angry enough to retaliate, but claimed he wanted to do it in Compton, not Las Vegas. Also apparently said Compton PD were spreading rumors that his nephew, Orlando Anderson, was the killer. But when Davis's defense attorney had the opportunity to question Lee, they hammered him on this, criticizing his investigation, or maybe, according to the defense, a lack thereof.
Did you ever verify the information in here specifically about allegations of Tupac Shakur's murder?
Verify in terms of what?
Well, for instance, in the document that would have been the year 302, that's dated as of July 14, 1998, there's an indication here, for instance, that at the Las Vegas casino, Davis's girlfriend, and Anderson's girlfriend walked or went up to their hotel room at the Excalibur Casino. Now, once again, this is 1998. The death of Tupac Shakur was in September of 1996.
Right.
Did you ever verify that information with Las Vegas to see if either, and in this case, what the 302 indicates is that the room was in Anderson's name. Did you verify that to be true?
I did not specifically know.
Okay. And then with regards to the way in which he describes, meaning Mr. Davis, how they got to Las Vegas, he says in here that they drove to Las Vegas in a Land Cruiser. Any particular reason? I mean, did he have a Land Cruiser? Was there any verification of that information?
I did not verify that.
Now, in addition to that, he had indicated that Corey Edwards, Kevin Davis, Terry Brown, and Big Dre, or AKA Big Dre, Big Dre and Wynn had also traveled to Las Vegas. Did you ever verify if any of those individuals went to Las Vegas?
No, I did not.
Now, in addition to that, he had made mention, at least with that first interview, that he believed that Compton police officers had been the ones to have committed that particular act, the crime in Las Vegas, in terms of the shooting of Tupac Shakur.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And with regards to that, though, sir, did you ever look into the possibility that Compton police officers may have been involved in the shooting of Tupac Shakur?
I did not specifically know.
So we have Davis in 1998 seemingly denying involvement, and this FBI agent seemingly admitting he didn't follow up. Now, 10 years later, according to another witness, everything changed. A different investigation was underway, and this one focused on the killing of Notorious B.I.G. So there was this task force that was made up of the LAPD, the FBI, the DEA, the ATF. They were looking into whether anyone connected to Death Row Records or the Southside Compton Crips was involved in the assassination. Duane Keffe D. Davis was on their radar. Now, the lead detective on this task force seemed to be Greg Kading, and one of his partners was a man named Darren Dupree. They reportedly had evidence that Davis was involved in drug trafficking PCP and cocaine, which, could put him away, for the rest of his life? So they approached him, let him know they had a case against him, and they allegedly offered him a deal. Come in, talk to us about Biggie Smalls, maybe we can work something out. So Davis sat down with them, with an attorney present, federal prosecutor was there too, and when they asked Davis about Biggie, he said he didn't know anything. But then, and this is key, according to Dupree, Davis said something that caught everyone off guard.
During the course of that, do you ask Mr. Davis about his involvement in the Biggie Smalls murder?
Yes.
And what is his response?
At that time, he said, no, we didn't have anything to do with that one.
When he said, we didn't have anything to do with that one, did that trigger anything in your mind as to what he was saying?
When I recall, yes. We were like, that one, what do you mean? And then
What
he
was
said,
it?
we did the other one.
He said, we did the other one. And so, at that point, what did you think he was talking about?
Me personally, the only other one was Tupac. But we had nothing, we didn't think he was, we were talking about Christopher Wallace. We didn't ask him any questions about Tupac. He offered that on his own.
And so when he does that, is there some discussion then of maybe having a conversation about Tupac?
It was a surprise to us. Number one, we were shook. We were surprised. Yes.
That moment right there, That led to this proffer interview on December 18th, 2008. And this time, all these years after the killing, this interview was specifically about Tupac Shakur, and according to Dupree, this is when Davis laid out his version of events in detail, claiming that he was in the white Cadillac, that he had a .40 caliber gun, that he allegedly passed it to the back seat, but the would-be shooter got scared, so Davis's nephew, Orlando Anderson, remember, the prosecution claims that this was revenge, that Tupac and co. beat up Orlando Anderson earlier in the night, on the night that Tupac was killed at the MGM Grand, right? So Davis's nephew, Orlando Anderson, allegedly grabbed the gun and fired. This was the first time that Davis had allegedly admitted to being in the car, to having the gun, to being part of what happened. Here's what Dupree claims Davis told them.
Mr. Davis stated that his nephew, Mr. Orlando Anderson, was jumped and beat up in a club or in a hotel in Las Vegas after the Tyson fight. He came and told Mr. Davis what happened. They went looking for Tupac, Suge, anybody who was involved, basically, in the beatdown of Mr. Anderson. And they couldn't find him at first, and then they saw him, and basically Mr. Davis had the gun at first, but they came up on the passenger side of Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur's vehicle, so he couldn't shoot across the driver. So he handed the gun to Dre in the back seat, Andre Smith. He was afraid to shoot. Mr. Anderson grabbed the gun and shot across Mr. Smith into Mr. Knight's car that Mr. Tupac Shakur was in with Mr. Knight.
And did he tell you what kind of vehicle he was in?
He was in a white Cadillac,
Did he tell you what kind of gun was used?
a .40 cal Glock.
This was a story the prosecution had been waiting for, right? Davis's own words describing his alleged role in Tupac's murder, but the defense went after Dupree, okay? This happened in court. They went after Dupree the same way they went after Lee. And I'm going to get into that in a second, but first, I just have to establish another well-known connection here that was brought up during this line of questioning. And that concerns Sean Diddy Combs, the CEO of Bad Boy Records. According to Dupree, Davis didn't just admit to being in the car, he claimed that Diddy, who was referred to back then as Puffy, was connected to this in some way.
Mr. Davis had a narcotics friend in New York by the name of Equan Williams, Zip. He said he could, this is a lot deeper than that. Sean Puffy Combs was supposed to have given money to Zip Martin to give to Mr. Davis for payment of the Tupac murder. Fast forward, we go to Mr. Davis. He says he can rekindle that relationship with Mr. Zip Martin and get him to talk about the money that was given from Sean Puffy Combs to Mr. Martin that never got to Mr. Davis.
And did you guys, or Mr. Davis, come up with a plan to get leverage on Mr. Williams, Zip? And what was the idea?
Me, Detective Kading, ATF Jim Black, and Keffe D, Mr. Davis, flew to New York so Mr. Davis can work undercover to try to rekindle that friendship and business relationship with Zip.
According to Dupree, Davis told investigators that Diddy was involved, that money was changing hands. He apparently took this seriously enough to fly to New York to try to get Zip Martin to talk about allegedly being the middleman, but Zip was dying of cancer, so that fell through. But the defense, as I said, went after Dupree, and they pointed out that this task force was investigating Biggie Smalls, not Tupac. So they asked Dupree what efforts he made to verify Davis's story. They pressed him on why Las Vegas Metro wasn't notified sooner. And I gotta say, Dupree's testimony, revealing.
Did you verify any of the information?
That Mr. Davis told us?
Yeah.
We were trying to verify as much as we could.
Okay.
That's
Well,
why
tell us
we
the
were-
efforts. No, I'm sorry. Can you tell this jury the efforts that you made to verify the information that he gave you in 2008?
Flying to New York to try to get the relationship with Zip, Mr. Martin, because he was involved here in Vegas with the murder and the large sum of money that was supposed to be given to Mr. Martin to give to Mr. Davis. So that's why we flew to New York, to try to get that whole thing going.
Right. And based upon your efforts in New York, were you able to verify that any of that information to be true?
No.
Now, in addition to that, there was other information that Mr. Davis gave up in 2008 in December. Did you verify any of that other information to be true?
I don't think any other information that he gave us was anything except the murder of Tupac.
Sure. Did you at any point verify, for instance, the people that he identified in the vehicle?
No.
You are aware, of course, that some of the people that he had identified in the vehicle were still alive in 2008, right?
One was.
Who was that?
That was Terrence Brown.
Okay. Did you ever verify that Terrence Brown was in Las Vegas at the time of the murder?
We never got a chance to.
Why not?
As I said, our first course of action was to tie in Mr. Combs, the money, and work back from there.
You can see what the defense is doing here, right? Pressing Dupree on those critical issues, follow-up. Was this a thorough investigation? Was it a sloppy investigation? Not verifying certain details is their narrative, basically. Never confirming one person, Terrence Brown, was in Vegas. And so essentially, Davis may have admitted involvement, but the defense is suggesting it wasn't properly verified. Now on redirect, so this is when the prosecution comes back to question a witness, asked a simple question. It's a theme we heard in the defense opening statement. Did you believe him? Did you believe Davis? Here's what Dupree said.
When you were talking to Mr. Davis and he's telling you what he's telling you, did you have reason to doubt his version of events as it relates to the homicide itself?
I didn't think Mr. Davis was lying because he put the gun in his nephew's hand. And if anybody knows anything, from what I hear, Mr. Orlando Anderson was the man besides Keffe D in that neighborhood. He was the prince, and his family loved him. I didn't think that Mr. Davis would put the gun in his own nephew's hand, dead or alive, and put that smut on him unless it was true. The person that killed Tupac, well, in the neighborhood, he's a hero. In the world, he's a villain. So I didn't think Mr. Davis, me personally, would do that unless it was true with his own nephew, because I know he loved his nephew.
So that was a big moment. That was a big moment. He did believe him. But earlier on, in cross-examination, the defense did get Dupree to arguably acknowledge why Davis might have been motivated to talk.
You had also targeted the idea, though, that it wasn't just him moving some large amount. It was people coming into his house, potentially his family. People could be arrested, his friends, for instance, that was part of that, and they all could go to prison, right?
I will say this. Mr. Davis took the hit for a lot of people in his family and his kids, his wife, but that's why he did a lot of the stuff he did. I will say that.
And I appreciate you saying that.
So that's where the defense may have been going with that, right? That Davis had reasons to say what he needed to say in order to protect the people around him. And that's where things stand in the courtroom right now, okay? But I have to call this out. And I mentioned this at the beginning, I'm going to say it here. This case is a lot more than just legal arguments and testimony and evidence. It is about a person, a real-life human being, not just the icon that we all know. Someone whose life was taken far too young. Someone who was adored, who was loved. Someone whose family has waited nearly 30 years for accountability and justice. I say that because we had the chance to sit down with Jamilah Barnes. This is Tupac's cousin, a board member of the Tupac Shakur Foundation. She has been in that courtroom every day, and she told us what that experience has been like.
How has it been being in the courtroom with Keffe D?
Incredibly uncomfortable. very uncomfortable. Yeah, it's not been, it's just been very uncomfortable for myself and my family to the point that, we've had to ask the marshals, like, can you direct him to just look forward? He doesn't have to look at us. He doesn't have to make eye contact with us. It's already incredibly uncomfortable. So, those nuances just add to the awkwardness and uncomfortableness and the trauma, really, of the situation. There were two moments that were particularly harder for me. The one was the autopsy,
Yeah.
um, uh, you know, um, questioning. Half of the family left out, and then the other half of us kind of stayed in just to observe. I was one that stayed in. I actually was kind of emotionally prepared for the images that had been surfacing for many years. But there were just more graphic images that I had not previously seen that were very difficult for me. So I had to excuse myself from the courtroom when those images were displayed. So Tupac is my big cousin. He's 5 years older than I am, and you know, my core memories of him are just my big cousin. From my um, childhood, like I have really beautiful memories of him from, just being an active, vibrant, talented, creative individual. I have one memory, I have many memories, but one in particular at my ninth birthday party. All of my, cousins and family friends were in my mom's basement. Celebrated my birthday, and one of my memories is just remember seeing there was a circle of us, and he was in the center of the circle, and leading us on whatever it was, whether it was a song or a dance competition, whatever it was. But those are like early memories that kind of were really indicative of his talent and his stardom, even in our younger years. I think his lasting legacy has been able to be sustained for so long because he spoke from a place of like empathy. He could, his lyrics, his passion, his interviews, his life experiences allow him to share and connect and resonate with people in a very human way, in a way that wasn't just like a untouchable celebrity, but really like your everyday, friend or your neighbor or your relative or your classmate. Um, the stories, the songs, the lyrics that he shared really spoke about really spoke about just justice for humans in general. You know what I mean? Like the equality of all the things for us all, not for one individual type of person or one culture or one collective, but really, humankind. And when your disposition is from that standpoint, you're able to connect and resonate with people across multiple different walks of life. And even now, because he was so adamant about, things that were important to humankind, those that sentiment is able to resonate today, generations later, where the young people now can still find their voice and what his voice represented back then. So I think that's a big part of his lasting legacy. And his voice continues to be the footprint of things being right for people around the world to this day.
Do you have
Mhm.
any doubt in your mind? And yes, Keffe D is innocent unless proven guilty. Do you have any doubt in your mind that he wasn't connected to this, that he wasn't involved in what happened to Tupac? Or when you're listening to the evidence, you're listening to the arguments, you've seen this case, are you even more confident in the prosecution's case and his role in what they claim he did?
Yeah, it's just to be very honest, I do, I mean, there is clear evidence of his involvement in some way, shape, or form. So it's really on the prosecution to kind of like bring that full circle and really demonstrate all those pieces. But without a doubt, there is um, some way in the pyramid of it all, there is some connection. So for sure, those things have to be proven in court. And hopefully once proven, hopefully the right verdict will come in and the proper consequences will be hopefully served.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock as well. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.